Hello, welcome to a bonus episode of Rediscovered Movies. I'm your host, Nomfanelo Malloy. So, this episode will be focusing on part two of the season three Aftershow. So, if you haven't checked out part one, it is available to you on the platforms available. So, first off, I just want to say thank you guys for checking out this season of the podcast. It was a blast to record the episodes. And it was also fun to check out movies that I have watched in the past, while also to checking ones that I have not seen prior to this podcast, which is an interesting experience. So let's get down to it. So I will be right now. Let's do the Q&A portion from the audience and also to hear from a few of our guests. So let's start with an audience question. This is from Nancy Mallory on Twitter, where she asks favorite and least favorite films to cover this season. So it was hard to choose one for each. So let's start with favorite. So I would say one of them is The Nice Guys. I have enjoyed that movie since I first saw it in theaters at the time, and I'm sure a lot of you out there agree that it is underrated. And as I mentioned that episode, that yes, there should be a sequel. Now, would a sequel ever happen? It's I don't really see it happening anytime soon, but who knows? It could happen. And yeah, that one was a fun one to record, and I'm just glad that I still like that movie years later. Also, to a movie that I've seen before, this one way back in my childhood, that I still like to this day, is Cleopatra Jones and the Casino of Gold. As a movie that came out during the whole blaxploitation era in the 70s, it's certainly underrated compared to the movies that came out at that time. And for me, like, I would say that movie is not just, you could argue, either like in the same quality or a bit better. So, because I have certainly watched the sequel more than I have with the first movie, and both movies are good for their own reasons. But I've always gravitated to the sequel more because I love martial arts, and I just happy to see a person of color just performing those stunts. So those are always fun. In terms of the episode, yeah, it was fun because I think originally this was going to be like a live episode, and it didn't really pan out in terms of the live episode. But regardless, I still kept going, and I just had fun recording it. So now, in terms of live episodes, I would love to do one in the future. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, anyways, regardless, I had fun recording that one. And lastly, to a movie that was originally not going to be in this season that I end up enjoying recording is Miami Vice. So I should have mentioned this in part one of the after show, where I had a different movie on the list, which was, I believe, Showdown in Little Tokyo, which that one is a buddy cop movie that came out in the early 90s with Dolph Lundgren and Brandon Lee. So end up what happening is that I kind of had second thoughts with that movie. So I tried to look for alternatives, and then all of a sudden, Miami Vice popped up, and I'm like, yeah, I'll check that one out. But because I think too, I wanted to see maybe a more like a darker side in terms of the buddy cop movies, and Miami Vice fitted that. And I didn't want to just do like the comedic sides of the buddy cop genre. Because usually for the movies that I cover, I try to mix things up. So I try to do the best I can on that front. So back to Miami Vice. So yeah, I had fun recording that one as well too, and just in that movie, I kept rewatching that even after recording the episode, and also too listening to the soundtrack is cool, and yeah, Miami Vice was fun to record, and I would say for the first portion of that question, favorites were Nice Guys, Cleopatra Jones, and Miami Vice. If I had to choose one out of the three, Miami Vice would be the answer. Now, on the flip side, in terms of least favorite, I have three answers for that one, and these all were movies that I have not seen prior to recording the episodes for the podcast. So the first one that I will talk about is Yucatan. So with that one, I was just browsing randomly on Netflix, and I stumbled upon that title, and just based off the description, I'm like, oh, this sounds cool. I'll check it out. And just after watching that movie, I just ended up not liking it for various reasons, which I've talked about in that episode. And interesting that for that episode, I decided to record it right after watching the movie for the first time. So I try to abide by the rule where I need to watch the movie multiple times, at least twice before recording it. But with that movie, I made the exception because that movie just did not work for me. So there's that. And then also, too, another movie I did not like was Pirate Radio. Yeah, because I remember, I think as I mentioned that episode, I think I've seen a trailer of it at the time. It looked cool. And when it came to the season, I think I decided to include that on the list. I thought I would have fun with the movie, but really it ended up being a huge disappointment. But I would say that it's an interesting subject matter in terms of focusing on a group of broadcasters just doing their thing inside a ship during the 60s. That's cool. And also to another, so before I reveal my last answer, so Pirate Radio, I think that one I ended up watching twice because I wasn't too, I would say, upset with that movie compared to like Yucatan, but yeah, like it was just a disappointment with that movie. And the last one I'll mention is CB4. That one I ended up watching just once, and it's just the jokes just did not land for me. Even though like it has moments that I enjoy, such as when they do the parody songs, which we know the obvious references are, and when they show the other members doing their solo careers with that whole sequence is fun. But it's just for some reason, just the movie just did not work for me because I thought I would have fun with it because, Chris Rock, doing his thing in this movie. But yeah, I just couldn't connect with this movie at all. So if I had to choose one out of the three, it would have to be Yucatan, unfortunately. So yeah, there's that for that question. So thanks, Nancy, for the question. So now let's get into what some of the guests had to say. So here, the first one, I would have to play a clip.
Hi, my name is Khalif, and I was on the Other Guys episode and Black Rain episodes of the Rediscovered Movies podcast. I had a great time on the podcast, and thanks to the show, I found a fun new noir cop film in Black Rain, and that's not usually my genre, but the movie just worked out. I've never seen a Michael Douglas or Andy Garcia movie, but Andy definitely killed it as Charlie. The Other Guys was also really fun. The comedic talents of Rob Riggle and Damon Wayans Jr. cannot be overstated. That movie made me laugh years and years ago, and it made me laugh still today. I had a great time watching a surprisingly interesting double feature of buddy cop movies where they're both investigating financial crimes. It doesn't seem like it should work out, but it really did. Both movies are fantastic, and you should rewatch them. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, and keep on listening in the future.
Thank you so much, Khalif, for the voice message. So he appeared in the Black Rain and the Other Guys episodes. It was his first time on the podcast. It was such a joy to work with him on those episodes, and yeah, I had fun with those episodes as well. As I mentioned in the Black Rain episode, I did not particularly enjoy Black Rain, probably because I had expectations on what the movie would be, but it ended up being something else. So, but regardless, yeah, it was awesome, yeah, to record that with Khalif as well. And yeah, with the other guys, yeah, that was a joy to watch, and glad both of us enjoyed that movie. And yeah, I would say that movie still holds up years later. So there's that. So now I will share a message from Harrison, who appeared in the Planeteer and Death Proof episodes. Discussing Grindhouse on Rediscovered Movies was great. I've never properly been on a podcast or in a review capacity, and I did find the experience very fun and collaborative. It gave me new insight to the movies and how they were made, alongside the time period that they exist in. Numphy is a really great host. She is very insightful and cultivated a breezy and fun atmosphere. It's clear it's clear that she has a passion for film and storytelling and is willing to meet a work on its terms and engage with what it's trying to say. Being on Rediscovered Movies gave me insight with how I view film and encouraged me to read deeper. Thank you so much, Harrison, for the message. And yeah, it was a pleasure to having you on. I'm just glad that I was able to produce a very warm, fun atmosphere. That's what I try to do with the podcast when I have guests. I don't want to make it too formal. I just really wanted to make it more conversational, and I'm glad that is being, hopefully, as the audience, you're able to tell with that. So yeah, just always have fun having guests around. And yes, and I do want to thank Khalif, Harrison, also to the other guests that appeared this season, Amy Jane, Akin, and Max. All of them, they have appeared on the podcast for the first time. So thank you guys for appearing in this episode, and also to check out those episodes if you have not already. So now that the Q&A portion is done, so I want to share with you some select poll results from the Spotify. So for the polls, you could answer those through the Spotify app. Those will be open until the end of December. And there's also questions too that you could answer. Those are always open regardless. So I'm not going to share with you all of the poll results, but here is some that I've selected from. Some for the Planeteer episode. So the question is, what's your favorite fake trailer from Grindhouse? So about this one was a tie. So about 33.3% say Machete, Don't, and Thanksgiving. I would agree with that as well too. Those were fun. If I had to choose one, it would probably be between Don't and Thanksgiving. I'll probably give the edge to don't, because that one is just more interesting in terms of presentation and all that stuff. But yeah, they're all awesome trailers, those ones. So for the Death Proof episode, the question is, who is your favorite female character from the film? And this one had a tie between two characters. So about 40% each say Kim and Zoe Bell. Those ones I'm not surprised. And 20% say Jungle Julia. So that's interesting. Yeah, I would agree with those choices as well too. So for the Black Rain episode, the question is, would you call your friend babe? And no surprise, 100% say no. Because once Khalif, he brought that up, I decided to put it as a poll question. And I'm glad that so far 100% agree with me saying no. It's weird to call your friend babe because babe is when you say babe, you think of sweetheart, romantic partner, all that stuff. Not as a friend. For me, that's weird. I'm sure Khalif would disagree with me, but I'm glad the people that voted side with me on this one. All right, so from the Miami Vice episode, the question is the film's ending from the theatrical cut satisfying? So 50% say yes. 25%, this one was a tie between no and maybe / I don't know. So I have not seen the extended cut, or is it director's cut? I'm not sure what cut that is, but I have not seen that version of the movie, so I don't know for sure if the ending is completely different. But I would say from the theatrical cut, I was satisfied with that ending, given like the circumstance that happened behind the scenes of that movie. And then the last one that I will share with you is from the Confessions of a Shopaholic episode. So the question is, what's your favorite prop from the film? So this one, no surprise, about 66.7% say the green scarf, and 33.3% say the red Poochie boots. So yes, I do agree with the top choice, because since that is like the key item from the movie, if you guys have seen the movie and its significance and all that stuff. So yeah, those are solid choices. And if you guys have not checked out the Q&A and the polls, you could do so from the Spotify app. I do hope in the future Spotify, they do open this up to your web browser, not just on the app, but time will tell on that front. All right, so as usually, I reveal the top 5 most listened to episodes of the podcast. So this time will be different because I decided this year, with this season, to put the episodes the same time on YouTube, because before I did that, I believe months after airing on Spotify for podcasters. So these ones will have 3 categories. So I will do the Spotify for podcasters first. So that's for the audio platforms. So the number 5 most listened episode on Spotify for podcasters is Cleopatra Jones in a Casino of Gold. Number 4, Death Proof, which featured Akin and Harrison. Number 3, Black Rain, which featured Khalif. Number 2, The Nice Guys, and number 1, Miami Vice. So, congratulations to those episodes. Now, moving on to YouTube. So, YouTube, there's going to be 2 categories. So, there's going to be the audio portion, which, if you guys are not aware of, so YouTube is entering the podcast space where you could include the RSS feed of the podcast on their platform. So there's that. And then so we have both the audio and the video portions of YouTube. So let's start with the audio version. So number 5, Cleopatra Jones and the Casino of Gold. Number 4, Black Rain. Number 3, Planetary, which features Akin and Harrison. Number 2, Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. And number 1, Black Mama, White Mama. So I find like the for those episodes with Black Mama, White Mama, and Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, I was surprised that those were the most listened to because it didn't really start off that way when those episodes air, but it just became evident, and as it went by, those really expanded. So thanks for everyone that has listened to the episodes on YouTube. Now on to the video portion for YouTube. So number 5, Planet Terror. Number 4, Confessions of a Shopaholic, which featured Max Husseini. Number 3, Yucatan. Number 2, Black Mama, White Mama. And number 1, Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. So yeah, this one was interesting because with Yucatan, I did not imagine it would make it in the top 5, but here we are. And interesting, like with Black Mama, White Mama, and Faster Pussycat, it reversed. Where on the audio format, Black Mama, White Mama is the most listened to, while with video, it's Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. So yeah, thank you also too for those that have listened or watched the episodes on YouTube. I see that subscriber count, is steadily growing, while also too with the video count. So thank you for those listening or watching it on YouTube. And before I wrap things up, I want to introduce a new segment I call Unanswered Questions. So I do hope these are questions that I have that I possibly posed or most likely posed during these particular episodes. And I hope you guys out there could provide answers because I don't have answers to these questions. I have possibilities, but I just do not have answers. So, first unanswered question is from the Planet Terror episode. Is why does Abby have a jar of balls? Because honestly, I still have that question from when I first saw that movie until now. The movie does not explain that because it was just weird that he carries that around like a trophy case. And then he gets upset when one of the bad guys shoots the jar of balls and he's like obsessed with collecting those balls. So I'm just like, what's the deal with that? It's just weird. Another unanswered question from Death Proof is why does Stuntman Mike kill women with his car? So it's evident that clearly the guy is a serial killer, but I'm just wondering what is the motivation behind that? Like, is it because he hates women or did something happen in his life? I don't know. Don't know. This one here from the Miami Vice episode. What happened to Montoya after the shootout? So, if you guys don't remember, so Montoya, I believe, is the main bad guy. He doesn't really appear much in the movie, but it just seemed that he just disappeared just before the shootout, if I'm recalling it correctly, because it seemed like Jose, was calling the shots, even though he was working for Montoya. So I'm just wondering, with Montoya, did he just disappear or did he got arrested? Because in the theatrical cut, it seemed like the police raided his house and it was empty. So I'm just wondering if you've seen the extended cut, is this answered in that version? Just let me know. So also to another question I have, this is for the Yucatan movie. Why does Lucas and Clayderman work together despite hating each other? That I just did not get, because clearly these two hate each other because they're both con artists trying to go after the same target. But then all of a sudden it's revealed, oh, we're working together this whole time. That just does not make sense to me. Because otherwise, if that was the case, what was the point of, going after each other at the beginning? That just does not make sense to me. And the last unanswered question, this is from the Rocks episode. I'm wondering, where is Rocks' mother? where is she? Why does she disappear? Because the movie implies towards the end that the mother has mental health issues. But even if that's the case, that's not really addressed early on because with Rox and the brother, they don't side eye the mom when the mom is around, because if the mom really had mental health issues, the kids would have been skeptical in terms of the mother's movements and all this stuff, especially since the mother has done this multiple times. So I need clarity on that front. So that's pretty much it for unanswered questions. And that's really all I have to say for part 2 of the season 3 after show. So, I mentioned in part 1 that I will be doing a season 3 breakdown of the episode. So, I've decided for that I will write it as a blog post on Buy Me a Coffee. The reason for that is because I just don't have the time to record, because the breakdowns, they take time and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll do it as a blog post on Buy Me a Coffee, which, if you guys are not aware of, we have Buy Me a Coffee where you could support the podcast through there. And I'll be posting more stuff on that platform as well too. So at this time, I will not do memberships on the platform, just because I want everyone to enjoy the post and all that stuff. So yeah, so visit Buy Me a Coffee. You could follow the podcast there, because I'll be making more posts there in the future. And also too, if you have not already, you could find me. I'm on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, at Nomfanelo, and you can find all my links on my link tree with the same username. Also too, you could find the podcast, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at RD Movies Pod, and the link tree has all of the links as well too. Also, too, you could answer the feature question on the Spotify app. And you could also, too, for Apple Podcasts, you can leave a review and rate the podcast. And as always, you could submit questions, comments, and suggestions by email, which is rediscoveredmovies@gmail.com. So I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in to this season of the podcast, and also to checking out this episode. And I hope to catch you for season 4. Take care.